This is your news source evening bulletin for today, Monday, the 8th day of April in the year 2024. I'm Gordon Mosley reporting, and here's what we're tracking tonight. Dismissing claims that some Guyanese suffer racial discrimination at the hands of his administration, President Irfaan Ali called two members of his public relations team on screen this morning during a live interview with the Trinidad and Tobago TV station to show that there is inclusivity within his administration. The two staff members are of two different races. Just recently, the UN Human Rights Committee called on the government of Guyana to adopt comprehensive anti-discrimination legislation that extends far beyond discrimination in the workplace and provides full and effective protection against all forms of discrimination. In the interview with Trinidad and Tobago's CNC3 this morning, President Ali said claims of discrimination in his government are unfounded and form part of old propaganda.
That is nonsense. That is a historical misstep that has no place in the future. This country is going to move forward as one Guyana with all the people integrated as one. We're going to set the agenda as to what unity looks like. We're going to live unity.
The president said if one looks at the many programs unveiled by his government, that person cannot claim any form of discrimination. He also said that there is equity in the disbursement of state resources.
When we announce increases, in the last 3 years, more than 75% increases in old age pension, they go to every single old age pensioner. When we announce a special program for people with dialysis, it goes to every Guyanese. When we announce a school children grant, it goes to every Guyanese. When we announce a woman empowerment program, it goes to every Guyanese. When we announce a program to give a voucher for every single woman in Guyana to go and have their medical checkup for cervical cancer, it goes to every Guyanese. When we announce 15% of all revenue earned on carbon sale, it goes to every Amerindian community.
In its report, the UN Human Rights Committee said the government of Guyana should adopt comprehensive anti-discrimination legislation that explicitly addresses all spheres of life and prohibits direct, indirect, and intersectional discrimination on all grounds. The UN committee said it was deeply concerned about the continued ethnic divide and tensions in Guyana, with hate speeches and incitement to racial hostility being spewed by politicians and public officials. It also said the country must redouble its efforts to end the existing divide and tensions between ethnic groups and discrimination against ethnic minority groups. More news coming up in just a moment.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true, or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
It's time for the official Linden Town Week Big People Party. This year, Big Man to a Skylark. Join Go Mosley Entertainment on Thursday the 2nd of May at the Mackenzie Bandstand for 5 big bands: Stitchy, Super Ray, Murphy, the Castro Brothers, and for the first time in Linden, the one-woman band Queen Makiba.
But when I see what I was getting, boy, I start to shiver, cause I know I'm gonna hear baby that's get me young boy.
Plus DJ Granny Ivy will be live.
party like never before. It's a one-man band and one-woman band fete for Linden Town Week, Thursday the 2nd of May at the Mackenzie Bandstand. Big Man Tour Skylark. Compliments of GTT, Sheriff Security, 592 Tees, Banks Beer, Guinness, and XM Rums. Drink responsibly for the official Linden Town Week Big People Party. Big Man Tour Skylark.
Holiday spending put a dent in your cash. Top up your pockets in the Cash Splash promotion. Win over $5 million, including over $1 million in our weekly draws. Just purchase any Buster, Turbo, Fruita, Cool Kids or Viva. Look for the 8-digit code starting with 786. Then visit Facebook or IG at Buster Guyana or Turbo_Caribbean for more details.
Let's tell you now that the High Court has ordered that the 12 persons who were recently elected at the Guyana Public Service Co-op Credit Union's special elections be allowed to take up the management of the credit union without any further delay. The team, which was headed by former chairman of the credit union, Trevor Ben, won the special meeting with the most votes. But the old management committee contested the elections, saying that the elections were not held in accordance with the law. But in a scathing ruling today, Justice Navendra Singh said the matter has been ongoing for too long and cannot be allowed to continue further. He also rebuked the chief co-op officer, Jacqueline Panchu, who tried to stop the new committee from taking up its place. According to the judge, the chief co-op officer lacks jurisdiction and cannot determine on his own that elected members of the credit union cannot be sworn in because of grievances raised by a few. Justice Singh said any grievances about the conduct of the elections of the new members should be taken up to the court and not by the chief co-op officer for redress. The judge said that similar to when there is a dispute in an election, aggrieved parties would usually file an election petition. That process should have been undertaken by those aggrieved, the judge stated. Justice Singh also upbraided Senior Counsel Neil Boston for allowing his clients to disregard the outcome of the elections, while stating that he ought to know how to treat with matters when a dispute of an election arises. The judge ruled today that the matter must be put to rest in the interest of members who had to stand legal costs of the credit union for almost 3 years. A month ago, the credit union hosted its special general meeting and elections. The team headed by Trevor Ben won the most votes, but the management team headed by Karen Van Slytman Corbin said that those elections were not properly held. It was chaos and confusion at the credit union when the new management committee turned up to occupy their new positions just after the elections took place last month. The Public Accounts Committee was today informed that approximately 5 years after the Region 2 Regional Democratic Council procured more than $210.1 million in drugs and medical supplies, the regional administration is still to receive more than 50%, accounting for some $111.5 million. The issue was placed under the microscope as the Region 2 Regional Executive Officer, Susanna Sewak, and her predecessor, former REO Dennis Jaikaran, appeared before the committee to respond to a number of issues raised in the report of the Auditor General on the Public Accounts of Guyana for the year 2019. In his report, the Auditor General explained that in 2019, $228.7 million was allocated to the RDC for the procurement of drugs and medical supplies on the health services. Of that amount, approximately $18.5 million was expended directly by the regional administration, while the interdepartmental warrant for $210.1 million was issued to the Ministry of Public Health for the ministry to procure drugs and medical supplies on behalf of the regional administration. However, while the Health Ministry indicated that the entire sum of $210.1 million was expended, the records revealed only $98.5 million in drugs and medical supplies were delivered, resulting in a balance of $111.5 million. Grilled on the issue, the current REO, Susanna Sewak, told the PAC that based on the regional's calculations and findings, the $111.5 million in drugs and medical supplies remain outstanding. And weighing in on the issue, the former REO told the PAC that the Health Ministry must account for the outstanding funds.
It is a process of reconciliation between the region and the Ministry of Health. So REO is actually accurate in what she would have said as it relates to that reconciliation. So it is the Ministry of Health that has to now account for and be able to guide the region as to not only the drug supply, but the quantity and the value. And that value is going to make the region being able to account for whatever would have been appropriated to the Ministry of Health.
But the explanations provided by both Sewak and John Kiran did not sit well with Minister of Public Infrastructure Juan Edgil, who questioned whether the region faced a shortage of drugs and medical supplies during that period as a result of the outstanding amount.
What we are dealing with here is not the 228. We're dealing here with the 210 that was warranted to the Ministry of Health. The region is saying they received 98 million. The Auditor General is confirming that, which is less than 50% of what was warranted. There are two issues here. If the region required to service its population based upon its drug lists and population that is used to make up your budget of what will be required is 210, and you get less than 50%. Was there a shortage in the region of drugs and medical supplies in 2019 because you only got less than half? If you got less than half and there was no shortage, it meant you over budgeted. If you got less than half and there's a shortage, there was a shortage.
In response, the current REO said the regional administration is working along with the finance secretary to address the issues with the Ministry of Health. As the electricity supply problems being experienced by the Guyana Power and Light Company continue, Opposition Member of Parliament and former Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson has revealed that the former APNU AFC government had developed a comprehensive strategy to effectively address the electricity supply issues confronting the country. However, he said the plan was scrapped by the PP Civic administration on its return to power in 2020. At an AFC press conference on Friday, the opposition member of parliament said that upon assuming office in 2015, the coalition inherited a dysfunctional power system in dire need of major capital and technical investments. In the short term, he said the APNU AFC conducted critical repairs and upgrades to the power generating network at GPL while appointing a new management team.
Despite the conflicting misinformation being peddled by the PPP, we procured over 60 plus megawatts of new generating power, upgraded over 1,000 kilometers of high and medium voltage lines, installed new transformers, and boosted our production network. These actions resulted in a more reliable electricity supply and a reduction in the frequencies of blackouts.
Patterson said a comprehensive strategy included the gas-to-energy project and a number of other renewable projects. However, the majority were either severely mutilated or abandoned by the PP Civic administration, he noted.
While the coalition administration considered a gas-to-shore project of 200 megawatts costing no more than half $500 million as being the major generating source in the short to medium term, we also understood that until the commissioning of such a plant, additional investments in power generation would have been required during the interim period. Hence, after the procurement of the 45.6 megawatt plants now operating in the Garden of Eden, GPL launched an RFI for an additional 50 megawatts. These bids were to be returned on 1st September 2020, returned and evaluated. However, the PPP scrapped this process. Based on GPL's expansion plan, 100 megawatts of new power was needed for the periods 2020 to 2022. At the end of this period, the proposed gas-to-shore project, as originally designed, would have been commissioned. thus incrementally injecting a further 200 megawatts into the system post 2022. Sadly, all these plans were scrapped by the PPP, who have placed all their eggs in a single basket, being the Wales Gas to Shore project, a project which on its current trajectory will not deliver on its promises.
It was noted that all of the new generating sets proposed to be procured were designed as modular dual fuel units, which would have the ability to use both natural gas and fossil fuel. Mr. Patterson said the current blackouts are entirely due to the lack of foresight and planning by the government. He said currently there is a shortfall in generating capacity of approximately 35 megawatts to 40 megawatts, with several units down at the Kingston location, while the new plants at Garden of Eden are operating below their listed capacity. The current government, which has been in office since 2020, is blaming the former government, the APNU-AFC administration, for the power problems, saying that not enough was done during that party's time in office to increase power generation.
Linden, it's time for the official Linden Town Week Big People Party. This year, Big Man to a Skylark. Join Go Mosley Entertainment on Thursday the 2nd of May at the Mackenzie Bandstand for 5 big bands: Stitchy, Super Ray, Murphy, the Castro Brothers, and for the first time in Linden, the one-woman band Queen Makiba.
But when I see what I was getting, boy, I start to shiver, cause I know I'm unable with that. Get me, young boy.
Plus DJ Granny Ivy will be live. Party like never before. It's a one-man band and one-woman band fete for Linden Town Week, Thursday the 2nd of May at the Mackenzie Bandstand. Big Man to a Skylark. Compliments of GTT, Sheriff Security, 592Ts, Banks Beer, Guinness, and XM Rum. Drink responsibly for the official Linden Town Week Big People Party. Big Man to a Skylark.
Mobil 1 is more than oil. It's many oils. It transforms at the molecular level. When cold, it's thicker than honey. When hot, it's thinner than water. Mobil 1 adapts and readapts to last longer. 16,000 kilometers between oil changes. That's your engine evolved.
Sol Guyana is the authorized distributor of Mobil lubricants.
Look at the breathtaking beauty of the Essequibo, from its pristine rivers to its abundant resources. It's a treasure that belongs to Guyana, and we ask Venezuela to respect the rule of international law.
Our commitment to this land is not just about ownership. It's about preserving its beauty and resources for our people and future generations.
The controversy between Guyana and Venezuela was settled internationally as full, perfect, and final in 1899. Essequibo belongs to Guyana.
General Council of the Guyana Teachers Union has given the green light to resume strike action if the government fails to resume negotiations on salary increases for teachers. In a statement on Sunday, GTU President Mark Light said a number of decisions were taken by the General Council at its last meeting in relation to the ongoing impasse between the union and the government.
It was unanimously agreed that our teachers must return to strike action, having not heard from the government side in 26 days as to how we're going to address the salary matters pertaining to teachers. So that's the first option that was given, a resumption in strike action by all educators across the island.
The GTU president also explained that since talks between the teachers union and the Ministry of Education broke down on the 12th of March, following the court-ordered mediation process, there has been no effort by the government to resume those talks. The union is pushing for a number of salary increases to cover the period 2019 to 2023 as part of a multi-year agreement, but the government has rejected that proposal, indicating that it will only negotiate increases for 2024 and beyond. But the GTU president said the union is resolute in its position, and if teachers return to the streets, there will be no stopping until their demands are met. The last strike action lasted for almost 1 month.
And this time, when the strike action will be initiated, meaning when teachers are called out for strike, there will not be any resumption until our negotiations are completed.
Mr. Light said the executive of the GTU will decide on the way forward and the date for the resumption of the strike action, and teachers should await that decision. He also said the other options provided by the council include pressing the government for a mutually agreed arbitration process and or the initiation of legal proceedings against the Ministry of Labor for failing to execute the mandate to settle disputes between the employees of the state and the trade unions. Meanwhile, a substantive case against the government brought by the union will continue on Wednesday. That case addresses the issue of the legality of government's decision to withhold the salaries of teachers for striking, and the government decision to hold the deduction of union dues from the salaries of teachers on behalf of the union. The GTU has complained that the government has gone ahead with refusing to deduct the union dues from the salaries of teachers, although the court had ordered they should continue that process. The Demerara Harbor Bridge was closed off for a brief period last night for checks after a tug and barge being used at the construction site for the new Demerara Bridge drifted away from that site and slammed into 2 spans of the current bridge. The bridge was reopened to traffic early this morning after the checks revealed minimal damage and did not impact the operations of the bridge. This morning, the planned retraction and double-lane crossings remain in place. Minister of Public Works Juan Edgil said a full investigation will be launched into the incident, and that investigation will be spearheaded by the Maritime Administration Department.
Yes, there has been an incident. It has not put the Demerara Harbor Bridge out of service. As a matter of fact, the 4 a.m. retraction to allow for motor marine vessels to cross will take place between 4 and 5 in the morning, and traffic is flowing right now. There is a control situation as it relates to laden trucks. We're releasing them at intervals to ensure that the weight on the damaged section is minimal, and we don't compromise anything further until we get to be able to do a full inspection.
The minister also said there is no need for an alarm or public outcry over the situation, as a full probe will be conducted. Efforts began just after sunrise this morning to remove the tug and barge from the location bracing the structure of the Demerara Harbor Bridge. Turning now to the police blotter, police investigators on the West Demerara are probing the deaths of a 56-year-old woman and her 69-year-old husband in a reported murder-suicide case. The incident took place on Sunday. A police statement this morning said 56-year-old Sarah Bacchus Arjun of Red Dorsey was discovered murdered in her home by her 13-year-old daughter. The woman was found with multiple stab wounds. The teenager alerted the police after also finding her father gasping for breath, but with no wounds to his body in another room of the house. When investigators arrived at the scene, 69-year-old Kemraj Arjun was still alive. He told investigators that he had ingested a poisonous substance and he admitted to killing his wife. Investigators found a note that the man had written in the house, admitting to killing his wife while accusing her of an extramarital affair. He was taken to the Western Marara Hospital where he died late last night. His wife's body was taken to a funeral home where post-mortem examination is expected to be carried out. The police said they found a bloodied knife at the scene which appeared to have been used in the murder of the woman. They've also taken a container into custody that contained the poisonous substance. A full investigation is on the way tonight.
In our search for sophistication and grace, the Super Stylistics team invites you to be part of something extraordinary. Mothers and daughters who possess aura and presence that transcend through time. Step forward and become part of the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024. Join our legacy as we redefine elegance for generations to come. The search for the epitome of timeless love begins now. Call 226-2825 or 626-0460 to secure your spot in the Mother and Daughter Pageant 2024.
Guyana's economy is rapidly transforming, and we're all part of it. Guyana is at the forefront of this development by providing reliable and efficient energy and supporting community development from the very core. 100% of Guyana's profit goes back to building schools, roads, and other important infrastructure that connects our cities and towns, providing fuel to domestic, marine, industrial, and aerial transportation. Guyana has now repositioned itself as market leader in the petroleum industry, building a better future for all of us.
It's one of your biggest goals, getting your own home, where memories are made, where happiness lives. You may feel that home ownership or renovation is beyond your reach, but we at Republic want you to know that there's always a way. Ask us about our suite of mortgages. Let's help make your housing wishes come true. Or advise on how the equity in your existing home can finance other dreams and goals. Call or go online to learn more.
Holiday spending put a dent in your cash. Top up your pockets in the Cash Splash promotion. Win over $5 million, including over $1 million in our weekly draws. Just purchase any Buster, Turbo, Fruita, Cool Kids or Viva. Look for the 8-digit code starting with 786. Then visit Facebook or IG at Buster Guyana or Turbo_Caribbean for more details.
With your regional and international news tonight, I'm Svetlana Marshall in the region. Ecuador's armed forces will continue carrying out joint anti-crime operations with the police under a presidential decree announced at midnight on Monday, the government said. According to Reuters, the operations were first allowed under a 90-day state of emergency declared in January by President Daniel Noboa and meant to stem a wave of crime and violence blamed on drug trafficking gangs. Military operations against organized crime, the joint operations with the police and increased security at prisons will continue under the decree, the government said in a statement posted on social media overnight. It said the decision will allow the government of Ecuador to continue deploying priority actions to protect citizen security and well-being. Noboa, 36, took power in November and has been touting his Phoenix plan to combat crime and violence, including the murders of public officials and an explosion of unrest in January when gunmen stormed a live television broadcast and scores of prison staff were taken hostage. confirmed reports that the government of Antigua and Barbuda has approved salary increases for parliamentarians is causing a stir, with opposition members of parliament expressing surprise and claiming they have not received the 14% increase, which was made retroactive to January 2023. Prime Minister Gaston Brown suggested that the announcement might have been made during the budget debate, which the opposition did not attend. He attributed the delay in the parliamentarians' race to a glitch with their records from the parliament. The United Progressive Party, UPP, however, has rejected the claims by the Prime Minister, pointing out that the tenure of the opposition bench would have begun following the general election of January 18, 2023, the very same date as the government MPs. The UPP MPs also highlighted that 2 senators were returning members, so their records would have been established at the parliament since 2018 at the latest. The opposition also reminded the government of the increase promised to pensioners and declared that they will accept no salary increase until pensioners have been satisfied. And finally tonight, international news. A Hamas official said on Monday no progress was made at a new round of Gaza ceasefire talks in Cairo, also attended by Israeli, Qatar, and U.S. representatives, after the Egyptian hosts said headway had been achieved on the agenda. Western powers have voiced outrage over what they see as an unacceptably high Palestinian civilian death toll and humanitarian crisis arising from Israel's military onslaught to destroy Hamas in tiny, densely populated Gaza. According to Reuters, Israel and Hamas sent teams to Egypt on Sunday after the arrival on Saturday of CIA Director William Burns, whose presence underlined rising U.S. pressure for a deal that would free hostages held in Gaza and get aid to isolated civilians. 6 months into its offensive against Palestinian Islamist movement Hamas that has devastated Gaza and left most of its 2.3 million people homeless and many at risk of famine, Israel also voiced cautious optimism about the latest negotiations. And that's your News Source Evening Bulletin for tonight. I'm Svetlana Marshall reporting and encouraging you to stay safe.